Hey there lovely people, Jonathan Mark Mendes, Painted Love, and welcome to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm going to complete a project that I started last week on a live. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough time to complete the whole project and the Wi-Fi connection was really poor during that live. I was too busy focusing on what I was doing and not your comments. You was all saying to me, it's a little bit fuzzy. So I thought it might be really good to complete the project as a pre-record right here. If you do want to see the beginning of this project and how I got to this point on this chest, I will link that in the description box below and you can follow that before you watch the outcome of the end results of this. Also, I'm going to post a picture right now of how this started its life out and where we're at to right now. I didn't complete the back and I wasn't going to decoupage the back, but I am going to today because that might be quite useful. It's all about connecting the pattern in with this one. And there's lots of hand painting to do, so I want to take you on a close-up journey of how I complete the project. So as you will have seen, I have managed to connect this pattern and wrap it round the corner pretty well. The pattern connects up really well here and here. Now, as I said before, I was never intending to do the back because I felt like this would be pushed up against the wall. But me being me, I want to show you how I'm gonna connect the pattern once again. Now, the pattern relies on the distance. It could do anything. I haven't even checked this yet. So it's either gonna work out really well on the back or it's gonna be one of those moments where we're gonna have to fudge it in somewhere. This is the overhang of the paper as it went over. I was gonna paint over that. Never mind, it's there. I did use salt wash. If you've watched the live, I used salt wash on the corners, which is alluding to some of these dark areas. Can you see here? That's the salt wash shining through the paper, which kind of looks nice. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. An overlap of that will add darkness. So let's grab a paper and then try and work out where this pattern is going to sit from side to side. So the paper that I've been working with is Posh Chalk Deluxe Decoupage papers, and as you can see, it's got my logo on here. This is my paper. I haven't actually hand painted this. This was an image that I took in Australia about 4 years ago of a beautiful panel on the wall of a monastery. So that's why it's called Monastery Panel. I'm going to open this up and we can take a little look of how we're going to connect this panel on the top of this chest from side to side. We may be lucky, we may be not. We might have to try and work this out. So let's see. The paper is a full A1 size and I used half of it. So I cut off the bottom half. So we'll fold this at the minute so we can see how this is going to end up. So what I'm doing here is trying to connect into this section. So I know that it would arch somewhere on the flowers. Now the flowers, there would be two and I can see there already half of one's gone and that arch, and we're left with nothing there. So I'm going to end up with a gap, I think. Let me see how. It doesn't matter if I lose a bit of that panel. I think it will be okay. Let's see how it blends with the other side. Oh, it's close. It's very, very close. You get more of a flower on the other side. So what I can see from the pattern match, I really do want to create this arch going all the way around on this corner. As you can see, if I fold that back, you'll see it like that. it will be the same on the other end, but unfortunately what I'm going to have to do is lose a bit of the corner here and here, so somehow we're going to have to fix that up. It may be paint, it may be more decoupage. So first up I'm going to do is split this in half so that I've got it's easier to work with. So I'm going to split it in half and then kind of work out where this is going to go. I know I can't move the pattern anymore that way because or I could connect. This paper does connect from end to end, so I could do a join. Let me just have a think. I'm going to cut this down and then we'll work it out. I've decided to work upside down for you guys to be able to see much better what I'm going to do here. I'm interconnecting this design. As you saw, I split it in half, and this pattern is really good because it's repeated, I think it's 6 times. So there's 6 panels, one being there, there and there. But if you split it in half, it does connect back in. So you can make a long length of this. So if you've got a sideboard, it's really good. So I'm going to start by applying some Posh Chalk infuser. You've all seen me use this. It's great for this paper. It's a little bit finer in texture. It's not like craft glue. It's a little bit more runnier. You can use this as a top coat. You can use it with the pigment. It is really good. And I've got their brush as well. These brushes I like, although it doesn't fit quite well in the container. It does spread out really good. I'm going to tip some on actually, and we're just going to lather it up. I'm not worrying about the hinges. I'm just going to go over them. We may paint them back in at a later date. It depends how it comes out really. So nice healthy coat. This is chalk paint that I'm working on, and it is kind of porous, so it does suck in the infuser a little bit. You could give it a mist coat all over first and then go again, and you'll get a little bit more wriggle room with it. But again, you know me, risk it for a biscuit, just go for it. Right, that's that one on. So I'm going to line it up with the top edge and my line that I made down the middle. That's my center point. I'm going to overlap slightly. And of course, I'm not doing the top. That's another part of the pattern that I'm going to take off the other end of these 2 pieces of paper. On it goes. Another brush. This is a dry brush, and I'm just going to smooth this out, a bit like wallpapering. It does go on surprisingly easy, this paper. It's my favorite one for ease. I'm not going to worry about that hinge just yet, although I might just rip it there and there. That's it. Because it bumps up a little bit, that's the one. Push it into the hinge, and then we can see the hinge. If we do want to paint that back in, we can paint it back in. That's that side on, as easy as that. Back in with the pattern. I'm going to line this up. Top edge first. Can it be that easy? Can it be that easy? Yes, I think it can be. Famous last words, eh? And as you can see, look, wriggle room in lifting and stretching and pulling where you want it to be. smooth out any creases. I'm going to push into that little groove as well along the bottom. Make some slits for the hinges. Now I can see here that it overlaps a little there. Maybe I'll just snip that away. It doesn't really matter because I can cover it over with the other piece of paper, but well, that made a good job of that. Oh, a little bit of a bump there. And that's it. Drying out already, so infuser. Where did I put that then? Oh, it's here. A little bit more under there. Right, I'm going to go straight over the top with more infuser before we remove the paper. Spread that out. Now, if you haven't watched the link through to the live that I did, I'm going to show you how I removed the edges. Because this is curvy, just to make it easier, there's lots of infuser on there, but you can take, if it dries out, you can take a moist brush, just an artist brush. I've got some water here, and what I'm going to do is just wet the edge. Say that one, that's dried up. Hang on, let's get another one. Brush. There's lots of infuser on there anyway, so it will be slightly wet, so that's going to help. Then just pushing down, forefinger and thumb, we're just going to slowly tease that edge away, pulling downwards. There we go, it's coming. Tease, tease, gently tease it away. It should give you a nice blend edge. Take your time over it. I've got my hand underneath, so I'm kind of just pushing down. I lost a bit there, but I'm not going to worry about that. Nearly there. There was a big fibre that pulled away. Ah, it's pretty good. Right, now we can press that down. Infuse a brush. And repeat on the other side. Water on the edge. Same again. Pulling down. Now I am going to need these two other pieces of paper for matching in here. We're going to have to do some joins again in this, so we're going to have to play around with the pattern again. let's just pop a little bit of infuser on that corner. I actually might need to just tuck a bit underneath there. And there we go. Let's take a look at the pattern. The pattern is not perfect, but it's near enough. I am super happy with that. Let's move things out of the way. You can just see how this pattern blends sort of around the sides. That arch almost match. This bit kind of goes out, but the bottom goes back in. It is a curvy piece, so some of that you can't help because of the shape of the piece. If you was working on a square, it'd be much easier, but I'm happy with that. I think it blends pretty good, almost all the way around the piece. So first up now, we're going to try and blend the top edge of this by using the offcuts that we've just removed, adding the pattern along this trim. Whilst I wait for the infuser to dry on the return side of the chest, I'm thinking about colours to blend into the paper. I do not want to see any of this white, so I'm going to start out with creating a colour for the background, which I see as somewhere around Louis blue, maybe a mix of Louis blue and pure to slightly lighten that tone. There are many other colours in this paper, one of which is definitely olive in the florals, and I also see something that looks like Aubusson blue as a key line. We're going to play around with the key line, the shadow line on this pattern as well. Also, there's probably a bit of Barcelona orange and Arles and a few other tones. So that's what we're going to do. First up, let's take away the white. I think we'll see a big difference once that's vanished. Now I'm going to address the connections in this paper. So when this paper was created, like I said earlier, there were 3 panels joined together, and obviously there was light and shadow on that image. And as you can see, there's a sharp line that runs through here where it's lighter and darker. So I'm going to use paint just to kind of blur the boundaries of that, especially in this area. So I'm going to pick up some of the colour that we've just mixed up, and we're going to pop some paint just in the middle of here, just to try and take the edge, make that a circle. I don't know if you can see that. It kind of changes that to a little droplet. We're going to do the same on this side. It will hide these strange connections. And also we're going to pop some paint in here. I'm just going to dab in. It's quite runny, the paint. I've added water to this paint. It's quite watery, like a watercolour painting. I'm allowing some of the paper still to show through here and there. I can always build up my tone a little later. Tapping that in. And I don't know if you can see on camera, once this is dried, it should look a little bit neater. If you make a mistake, you can rinse that off with a little bit of water and a cloth. Because the infuser's over the top, it allows you a bit of freedom to play around with those colours and make that a little bit stronger in paint and colour. So there you go, that's one. We'll do the other side. I'll layer this up. Once it's dried, I'll know whether I like what I see. I think it'll be good. It just kind of freshens and cleans up that connection between the two. There'll be a few more areas lower down. I'm going to darken that colour up a little bit. Sometimes just to tap away with your finger blurs the boundaries a little bit. That's nice. for the top, I've decided to add a little bit more pattern. I felt like this area around the oval was a little bit too much blue. So what I did is picked up a ruler, and on a 45-degree angle, I've added this sort of gridded pattern. It is really loose and kind of sketchy. I used a pencil. With this freehand work, nothing has to be perfect. None of this is perfect, so I'm not going to worry about it. The colours that I've decided to go for are Barcelona orange, Arles and primer red to kind of get these orangey, rich golden tones. And I'm just going to add the key line going across. I've got a rigger brush, so this is a brush that's got a thin end to it. As you can see just there, it's got it holds a lot of paint, and I've watered my paint down. So all I'm going to do is offload a little and just follow my pencil lines going across. Like I said, nothing has to be perfect with this. Just work your way slowly across each line. That's the first one in. And I might pick up a little bit of primer red here and there just to add in. It will get difficult for me, so I don't want to lean on where I've already been. There is a method to my madness in this, so bear with me. Just to add a little bit of dimension, I'm using the same colour again, and I've added a little bit of pure white in there, and I'm just going to tickle over one edge, the upper side, to add some shadow or light and shadow. This will add sort of a little bit of, cast a bit of light on there to add some depth and make it look a little bit more like the hand painted stuff that you see inside. Running along the top edge of each side, the same side. Nothing too perfect about it at all, just wiggly lines. Just livens it up a little bit. It's these little details that will make the difference when completed. light and shadow. So I'm going to also do on the other side of that line, the same side of each line, from this side, which will make it easier. So this upper edge. Now these appear to be more like three-dimensional. At this point, I'm pretty happy with the way this is going. I do know that I'm gonna paint this trim out and I'm gonna add another trim here. So I'm left with deciding what to put in the middle of this panel. I don't want to go plain, it needs to be high pattern. And to make life easier, I think I'm gonna use a flat brush and just do some gold lines, straight lines all the way down along the edge, giving the shadow. So I'm going to use the Arles and Primer Red as the darker shadow to the right hand side, and then I'll go back and add a thin white line to add a little bit of light on the other side, and then I can go back in with the gold around the top and the bottom, and maybe a touch of olive somewhere in between just to break it all up. Just a few more steps to go. I'm really happy with the way this is looking. I've dirtied it up a little bit because I felt like it needed that with the paper. I'm going to add 2 more key lines, well 3. This one's going to go out gold, I think, this kind of trim. There is a bull nose here and there is an edge underneath there, even though you can't see it anymore. But I'm going to use a bit of masking tape. This is frog tape. Wish me luck because I don't want it to peel off the paper. But just to get a more cleaner line, and probably we're going to add an olive one just underneath that patterning. So let's get stuck in with adding some frog tape. So I'm at the final hurdle. I've done all of my beading and now I'm going to add a key line just underneath because what I see in here is Oberson blue. I may touch up some of these areas, like for instance, this would be a shadow underneath here. So we may add just a little bit more Oberson blue just on there and the other side. But I'm going to pop a little key line under that gold on that trim. So there's a few little details that I wanted to just add. This pattern, the shadow, this blue key line is the shadow from the original, but obviously it was flipped and turned. I've got some that are upside down. So I'm just going to add a little bit more here and there, and it should look really good. So I'm just about there. Before I start distressing all of my paintwork, underneath here, if you didn't watch the live video of my preparation, I'd put salt wash with Enfleur, so I can scratch this back a little bit, and hopefully we'll come back to some brown areas, a little bit like the paper. Now, there is a bit of a pattern, a flaw in the pattern in the middle, which I'm not very keen on. I say a flaw, it's actually the way the pattern is. It just looks a bit dark and it doesn't match in. So I'm gonna add a woodubend. I'm gonna paint it out blue and then add some gold and some detail and place it in the middle just for a little bit more relief on the top surface. So that's just about all from today's tutorial. A few finishing touches to add: clear wax, dark wax, and some gilding wax, just to add all of those little finishing touches. I really hope you enjoyed the process of my Versace inspired treasure trove. I will catch you all next time.